There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
Our perspective is yours for the taking, but you'll have to join us first. We left everything we debated at the Yonkō Table.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for the Yonkō Table, the table that will make their dreams come true. Yo, let's go. It's your boy DrJaceAttorney hosting Yonko for this week's episode of the Yonkō Table. And with me, as always, is fellow Yonko GrandMasterHoop to talk about Loki, episode 2. GrandMasterHoop, how are you today?
Doing well, Dr. J, since we last spoke, which was just a little more than 24 hours ago. Doing all right. Can't complain. Enjoying summer. These rainy days are lovely. Love these rainy days. My favorite. But yeah, no real complaints here. Glad to be back at the table. I'm ready to be fed and ready to deep dive our topic of discussion today, which is Loki episode 2. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Dr. Jace.
Anytime. I can't wait to dive into very, very deep. But next up, we got Supernova, Rose the Crafter, coming in to talk with us as well for Loki episode 2. Rose, how are you since, well, yesterday?
I guess I'm really hungry because I'm back to back like Lethal Weapon. Or as Drake would say, I don't know. But I'm here. Let's dive into it and let's get fed.
Right on. True that. So let's go into it. Loki, episode 2. I feel like with Loki so far, at least, my opinion on episode 2, from what we can gather, I feel like you need to really be sold on the dynamic between Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson. If you're not sold on it, this episode was kind of lackluster, because really, until we get to the end, not much happened. Me personally, I'm really sold on their dynamic. I like their banter that they have with each other, and I feel like at least the writing for episode 2 was really homed in on that point. You have how do you call it? We have Loki trying to figure out, not more or less who he is, because we kind of got that last week, but I guess where does he stand in terms of what goal does he have, moving forward for the rest of this series? And I think, GrandMasterHoop, did you have an idea, I think from the last time we spoke, of like a theory that we have going in on what Loki might be doing? Or was that Dars? Maybe it was
Dars had an idea. He mentioned a young Loki, which could appear due to, I don't know, some variants of the sacred timeline or some multiverse aspect. So I would say, and we'll save it for the end, but I will say variants of Loki in whichever shape or form may prove to be a solid theory, given the ending of this episode. So, goodness, I don't want to jump right into it, but let me address what you're saying about, we got to get on board with this, the pairing of Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston. I enjoy their chemistry. However, is it just me, or did it feel like some time has passed between the first episode and the second? Because it seemed Mobius was a lot more annoyed with Loki this time around. As in, it's almost as if they had went on a previous mission as well, and Loki had failed or, misstep, or maybe it's just Loki's just not really paying attention to these little tutoring sessions he's getting from Miss Minutes. But Mobius seems super annoyed with Loki, and I thought it, for me, because we jumped right into the episode kind of with that as far as like the Loki aspect. And I was confused. I was like, man, what happened to this Mobius who's trying to bring out, this great version of Loki? And here he is kind of tearing him down, calling him a scared little boy and whatnot. That was a low blow.
Like that, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. You got to get on board because I feel that's going to be the driving force here is the dynamics that Loki has with the characters. And yeah, this episode I don't know if it was lackluster, just the way they put it together seemed a little off. Like I don't know, it felt a little sporadic. So with that said, you know, I'm sold on the character of Loki. I don't know if I'm sold on the show entirely. They got a lot of good setups. Now we just really need to see them execute. And I think a lot of people were waiting for the execution this episode. So, right. And we'll get into all the specifics and whatnot, but yeah, that's how I feel overall so far with the ending of episode 2.
Right. And I feel like you could probably, I do see what you're talking about, where it feels like we kind of had a jump from where we left off from episode 1 to where we are in episode 2 with Loki. Because I mean, me personally, I can't see Loki working a desk job, but here he is working a 9-to-5 in episode 2. And it kind of threw me off because I was like, wow, he adjusted that quickly. The god of mischief of Asgard is now sitting in like a cubicle, just, you know, punching in numbers or looking through files or stuff. I don't know. I do agree. It did seem like there was maybe some time lapse between episode 1 and 2. And kind of, you know, going with Mobius, he seemed rather annoyed with Loki's antics at this point, whereas from episode 1 he really wanted to pull that character or whatever character he was trying to find from Loki, but in this one he was kind of done with it a little bit. He's
over it.
Right, exactly. So I would imagine and we do kind of see this later on in the episode, but like when Loki starts having banter with himself, he's like, oh man, no wonder Thor was always so pissed with me because of the way he was talking with himself. So I would imagine maybe that was a wake-up call to how maybe Mobius felt, you know, in this time lapse between episode 1 and 2. He was just sick of Loki's shit, man. He was just tired of it. Tired of the witty sarcasm, the snarky comebacks. I don't know. Rose, what do you think?
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of time theory and manipulation and TVA, but that doesn't explain how wonky the dynamic felt by the time we got to the beginning. So I agree with both of y'all. I wish there was some better notifier or slightly better writing, even if it's cheesy Loki going through his head like, oh, I'm working a desk job, or I have a backup plan or ultimate plan, or something, like him still kind of going through his mind out loud of him trying to figure a way out. I mean, I kind of get the dynamic that they were going for. It's just that it kind of just fell in our laps without much buildup. It kind of switched in between scenes. So it's like when it starts, you know, Loki's at the desk and we're like, okay, I guess some time has passed because he's settled in being at the desk, learning these trainings. And then you have the following scenes, which not to spoil it, but I mean, eventually Mobius has to go talk to in her office. I can't think of her name. Ravonna, which we'll talk about later, in her office. After that first mission, as what we saw first mission. And you can tell he's kind of tense because he really wants to, I guess, do the right thing for TVA. And I guess that's kind of the nuggets they gave us, is that he really believes in the purpose of the TVA. At least that's what is coming off in screen. And so Loki's giving him a really tough time because he's putting trust in this guy. But it just felt a little weird dynamically because we didn't really have a buildup. As a matter of fact, at some point I was like, well, dag, Loki's not even being that rude right now.
The mischief. I don't know. I was expecting a little bit more of it.
Yeah, I'm like, he's not even being that rude here. I mean, yes, that scene on their first mission when they went to the, I can't think of it, the time, or what was it like? It was like 1985.
Oh, the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, in 1985.
It was like 85. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that was like a little like, oh, you know, Loki's still got a plan going on and Mobius is sick of it, but it just happened. So it was just like choppy, I guess. And then even still, I was like, well, I mean, he's mischief, so you know he's going to do a little bit of mischief. This is what you signed up for when when you got him, you knew he wasn't going to be straight, narrow path. So now your patience is running thin. You didn't expect the god of mischief to, I don't know, be a little mischievous. So I saw the potential, but execution is still a little wonky.
Is that something that maybe we think they'll hopefully improve on as the episodes go on? Because I mean, we pretty much established last week that we only have 6 episodes and we're already a third of the way done. They only have 2/3 left of the story to tell.
They really got to pick it up.
They do. And it's one of those things where we'll save this for the end, but basically at the end of the episode, there's a possibility that dynamic between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, I don't know why I keep calling them by their real names, Loki and Agent Mobius, we don't know how long they're going to be apart from each other because, you know, Loki did his own thing and went off on his own. So at some point, I would hope they come back together and continue that dynamic and develop that character a little bit more. But maybe the show wasn't meant to be that. Maybe that was only supposed to be an episode 1 type of thing. And Marvel has bigger and better things for the character throughout the rest of this series. Maybe we'll see something even better, a better dynamic between Loki and a new character, so to speak, towards the end. But aside from that, what do you guys think Loki's endgame is in all of this? Because, you know, on the table, it seems like, oh, he wants an audience with the Timekeepers, right? But is there anything more to that? Like, is he just I guess chasing the route of power? Like, oh, he found out the Infinity Stones were useless. It's not the ultimate form of power, but the Timekeepers, that's who I want to meet up with. So is it just because they're more powerful, that's why he wants to meet them and control time? Or I don't know.
I would say there's Loki is a transformer. There's more to him that meets the eye.
You could say that he
is a robot in disguise.
Good one. I was gonna say, you know, he has
layers.
Layers.
Like an onion. Sure.
Like an onion.
Sure.
Right.
But yeah, you know, because you know, he's again, it's all about mischief goes with misdirection. You know, he blatantly throws it on the table to Mobius that he wants an audience with the Timekeepers. All right. And you know, he throws that on there. And then when he starts to allude to, you know, is there something in it for me? You know, he's like, and Mobius is like, an audience with the Timekeepers? I never said that. So he knows what Loki wants. But of course, he knows what Loki wants because Loki blatantly said that's what he wants. And then at the end of the episode, he kind of says, I'm trying to overthrow the Timekeepers. Now, you just don't blatantly throw out Loki's more calculated than a Saturday cartoon villain. Yep. You know, you just don't throw out your end goal like that. And again, I believe it's just misdirection. I believe Loki is misdirecting everybody for his own. Of course, it's still personal. Whatever his goal is, it is a personal goal of his. But there's no way I think we have a Loki just chasing power after he watched that video reel of his life last week in episode 1. You know, if he is chasing power, you know, he watched, you know, himself die. He watched his mother die. He watched himself die and not be able to flesh out this newly formed relationship with Thor. I can only imagine he's seeking power for his own kind of pure benefit. Oh, he watched Odin die too. I imagine, and I said this last week too. I imagine he'll try to maybe change his sacred timeline path, which is, I guess, I don't know if that's possible, but I do believe he has good He has good motivation, but it is mischievous in his execution, to where that's why the Variance Authority is kind of fed up with him. Again, I think he's more calculated than that. So
yeah,
we'll
I
see.
agree. I don't think he's going for just power per se, or your typical rule as in the past, or even just to go back and try again to be successful in his invasion back in what, New York or whatever, in Avengers 2012. I think kind of what Grandmaster Hoop already said, just rehashing it. But I mean, there was even little, I'm going to keep saying nuggets. So little lines of him saying, you know, I'm paraphrasing, like you said, the Mobius, I've learned that, you know, a bad person isn't bad and a good person isn't good. And he wants this meeting with the, you know, Timekeepers. And I think he wants that meeting to, you know, in agreement with you, Grandmaster Hoop, to just kind of have a little bit more control over the destiny or the fate that was set in the sacred timeline for him and maybe even, you know, his family included. So I think he kind of wants to take control of that, selfishly still, but to say, hey, you know, give me another chance in the timeline. You know, I'm going to do something different that might not shake up things, or I don't know. Maybe he's trying to evade death. Maybe he's trying to bring his family back. They throw a whole lot of I like the term misdirection for mischief, because they throw a whole lot of just different options of where it could go. I think the one that's right in front of our face, with, you know, just taking over the TVA and stuff like that, I just think I don't believe it. I think that's classic misdirection. It's too generic. It seemed like a ploy to, you know, when he used that line to manipulate that situation that we'll talk about later. So
okay, you know, since we're still on the topic with the, you know, the audience with the Timekeepers, I feel like the Timekeepers, because Marvel's building them up to be so mysterious, I feel like it's gonna be another Marvel you know,
fake out
pulling. I think it's gonna be, well, in the sense that it's true that they do exist and they did all the stuff that they, you know, did in the past or whatever, but I feel like I don't know if you guys ever played Jack and Daxter on
classic
the PS2. Did you know what I'm gonna say?
With the Ottsels being being the precursors.
Yes, now I don't think they're gonna be a group of rocket raccoons or anything, you know, the Timekeepers.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're gonna be alluded to a joke, basically, like some gag character, or maybe not a gag character, but like just you're imagining them in some grandiose capacity, and I can see, because Marvel's done it before, just I don't know, like some 4'5" clown looking thing being one of the Timekeepers. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there because they're really driving home how mysterious and omnipotent these things are. And every time we try to get more details on them, whether it's the TVA or you said her name earlier,
Ravonna.
They're always saying stuff like, oh, they're always saying they're busy, or you know, they're making sure the sacred timeline's okay, don't bother them. I feel like they keep saying that because they're gonna pull the rug from under us at some point.
That's a very good point. Oh God. And now that you say that,
I'm calling it.
Would it be a letdown if they did it this time? It would be, right? It'd be a letdown.
It depends because I mean, I don't know who the Timekeepers are in like the Marvel, you know, the comic book universe, right?
I'm not as knowledgeable either.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're supposed to. I think is Kang the Conqueror is not a Timekeeper.
No,
right?
He's not. He's not.
Okay. So I don't know what the Timekeepers are supposed to be in the Marvel comic book universe, but I would imagine they're probably something badass, and they probably meet those expectations when whatever characters meet them. But Marvel being Marvel in their MCU mindset, I see them doing it, man. I don't know, like they did it with Pietro from WandaVision.
Here we go.
They did it with I'm not a terrorist.
The Mandarin.
The Mandarin, yeah.
They've done it, and you would think like, oh, they did it with the Mandarins. They would never do that again. WandaVision, bam. They're like, they don't care. They're willing to do it. They're willing to do it. That's just my 2 cents on them, since we're talking about them right now.
I feel like the WandaVision was probably a slight Easter egg instead, or a slight. I mean, it was a fake.
It was an extended Easter egg.
Yeah, but an extended Easter egg, if anything. I really hope, even from a casual fan perspective, I really hope that the Timekeepers are something powerful and whatever the word is, mysterious as they've been built up to be. Because then what are we really doing if it's a fake out? Like, what does this story even really mean if it's a fake?
Yeah, don't you get tired of faking out your fans?
Well, we'll see. The reason why even more reason why I think it's a fake out is because even Loki and Mobius have that conversation where Loki's asking him.
I quoted it.
You quote where?
No, yeah.
I quoted it. It's where'd I put it? Existence is chaos. Nothing makes any sense, so we try to make some sense of it. It definitely would make sense that they would say, oh, there's 3 timekeepers who've been been here throughout time, maintaining the sacred timeline, and Loki's over here is like, they're lizards or whatever.
If they're not lizards, I mean, it's like I could see them doing something along the lines of they probably put those entities of power from their imagination so that they could have some semblance of order, so that there would
within their own.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's kind of like you said. If you remove that, I guess, authority from their job, what are they doing this for?
Yeah, who are they working for? Yeah,
who are they working
exactly.
for? Oh man, you guys heard it here first on the Yonkō Table. Marvel's gonna pull the rug.
You standing on that hill, huh? You standing on that hill.
On that hill.
All right.
Oh man,
it just questions everything.
It does, and it's not like we're just like pulling this out our ass. Like there have been some allusions in this episode that kind of hint like, hey,
that's fair.
Maybe they don't exist, or maybe they're lizards. Loki keeps going in on the lizard people stuff, and I'm like, oh, all right.
That could be funny, but
it could be funny
in the grand scheme. Keep them all powerful. Don't nerf them by the end, or because at that point it's just a MacGuffin. Like
exactly.
Search for this almighty object that leads to this almighty power. Just give us a story. I can't see them purposely writing to fake out fans. It's like, how are we gonna fake out fans with Loki? Let's their expectations. On the chalkboard it says, fake out. How do we get to here?
Oh man.
How would you feel if it was a complete fake out and Loki like wakes up not dead?
Oh, so everything was a dream type? Oh my gosh, it's the worst one.
Or alternate reality. Anything like that.
It's terrible. I would be like, this show's a waste of time.
Or building off of that, what if he does actually get to meet, some timekeepers or some entity, but they grant him his wish or whatever to be back in the sacred timeline as himself, and he does wake up as if he was in a dream, like Rose was saying.
Waste of time still.
Listen, all this mess going on, it's like, is this part of the plan or not? With this whole theory of time and destiny and fate, like, is this what the timekeepers want to happen the whole time? Was it supposed to be as messy as it's supposed to get internally? Like,
well, you could see when you say that begs the question: is this in the sacred timeline?
Exactly.
Or does the TVA? Here's the sacred timeline. Is the TVA like just its own thing?
Of it. Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, because it's like, I don't know. Time can get so convoluted.
Yeah.
It's a very tricky plot element to throw into your story, in any form of story, because there's so many different rules to time travel and time manipulation. It's easy to mess up.
I feel like this episode, I was like, man, a lot of time stuff is going on. I know it's going to get wonky, but the heck is going on here with
And I mean,
what the heck is going on here?
you know, they did try explaining it, and that kind of goes back into what we were talking about earlier with the dynamic between Loki and Mobius. I felt like the first 20-ish minutes or so, I felt like they were really cementing in the rules of what happens with the TVA. So you have Loki going through files and trying to figure out what a nexus is, and you know what happens when you branch off the sacred timeline and what the end result is. What do the reset grenades do? I feel like they really want us to understand the rules with them, but I feel like it probably won't happen immediately. But I think as time goes on, when we go back and look back on this series, we're probably going to see little holes poking through a lot of these story threads.
It's really tough too. I mean,
it is.
That's why I hope the story. That's why the story has to be solid, because I mean, you can always poke holes into all of like anything that deals with time. There's no flawless like interpretation of time.
Not. No.
I mean, I think I got it. I think I got it down.
I think I do too.
No, yeah, I got the rules down, but still, like, you even question the rules itself. I mean, not to jump ahead, but like Loki figuring out, you know, that there's no variant happening if it's an apocalypse.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, there's no branching. Yeah.
No branching happens at all if there's gonna be an apocalypse. And in my mind, I'm like, well, that makes sense, I guess. You know,
0 times 0
rules. 0 times 0.
Exactly. Exactly.
But then like part of my mind is like, well, what if one person slips away somewhere in a cave or like I don't know. What if something crazy does happen off of that?
Gotta erase them.
But they would detect the change though.
Yes, they would. Yes. And it would be a variant, which the countermeasures is to bring them to court and erase them.
Yeah. But I'm suspending my belief. I'm not here to find out the reality or what's real or not, because it's not. It's a made up story. So now I'm just being very picky and overthinking everything. I'm fine
where
with
you draw the line.
I have to draw the line.
Sure.
Not with the gauntlet that could control space and time when you put 5 stones into it.
Hey,
6 stones. Get it right. They spent like 23 movies trying to get them 6 stones.
That is true.
Listen, I drew the line when Bruce Banner / the Hulk, or however you want to say, had excuse my language, ED. So I drew the line at that in the cinematic universe when he couldn't change anymore because he was nervous. So that's where I drew the line, and I say I just have to take it as is and enjoy the ride.
ED, I never heard anyone refer to it as that, but I guess that's what it is.
Essentially.
Can't get the party going. Can't get the party going. Excuse my language. I feel terrible saying that.
I would like to say it's PTSD, not ED.
PTSD is a lot better.
It did not involve his
performance.
I mean, wait, ED.
Let's just drop it completely. No, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Hey, edit it out. I don't.
No, it's fine.
Bring the Hulk into this, man.
Oh my God, I can't believe I brought that up. Jeez. Anyway. That is a very serious matter. Respect to any communities and yeah, no disrespect to anybody dealing with that.
Anyways, since we're still on the topic of, you know, apocalypse and variants and whatnot, the destruction of Asgard, they really home in on that aspect with how Loki takes it. I thought I was gonna see him cry a little bit. They were kind of zooming in on his eyes. I saw a little bit of water, but Grandmaster, what exactly happened? He was going through the files. He was trying to find out what the other variant Loki, the one they're chasing.
Yes.
Where is he gonna end up? Where is he hiding?
Yeah, and I forget how he comes to the conclusion of the apocalypses, but he finds, you know, it's not that huge of a file, right? But Asgard's destroyed, which I guess.
Well, the way he came to it was, well, first he went to the librarian.
Yeah.
He said, "What files can I?" Well, first he said, "What was it? Can I have the file on who created the Timekeepers?" Right?
Yeah.
And then after she's like, "No," and then after that it was like, "Okay, so can I get the beginning of time?" No. And he's like, "Well, what can I have?" And she just gives him his file essentially.
Yes.
So He has his file. He's going through everything, and he basically sees the timeline of everything that ever happens.
Yes, and Asgard, as you know, in Thor Ragnarok was destroyed, and I guess in the real they didn't really show that because he wasn't actually like
right.
He saw it, but he didn't he wasn't like there.
He wasn't present for the most part in there.
Like he was on the ship at that point.
Right.
And I guess, well, I mean, that Loki was there. This Loki had no idea that was coming.
Right.
So watching this reel, he didn't really, I don't think he understood that's what happened to Asgard.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I think this file was the one that drove home like, oh, wow.
well, not only did he lose his family, he lost his home, you
Right.
know, the place where he desired to have, one, he wanted to be king of Asgard. 2, he wanted people to look up to him as guardians. And again, if there is no time lapse, he's getting all this in within a day or 2.
Yeah. Well, it has to be a time lapse.
That's a lot. That's a
That's a
lot.
lot.
But wait a
yo.
minute. Time works differently. So a day could be
did say
eternity. So we have to suspend that. You know what? Everything I said earlier, forget that. We have to suspend our minds. We are
Fine.
thinking like linear human beings.
Okay. So
Bro,
that's a
linear
lot to
time.
take in. That's
He's
a
on
lot
the
to take
right track.
in, period.
Yes.
There
Now,
you
whether
go.
that's Marvel's scapegoat for what they're doing or not, who knows? But we have to roll with it.
Sure.
Time works differently.
Sure.
Yes.
I don't even know how. I'm not trying to get into the politicals of the TVA, but yeah, okay. It hits home. It's an emotional core, and that makes us believe. Again, there's still some emotion to Loki, and maybe again, he's looking for that purpose. That sense of control. Again, this could allude to maybe him trying to restore Asgard. Who knows? Maybe that's what this is alluding to. Everything that he's lost, maybe there's a way to get back everything. But on top of that, I feel the whole file hunting gives us another vibe of what this show is going to be, because the first episode, I got nothing but Star Trek vibes in the whole setup. Now, this episode, seeing how things play out, I feel it's a detective series. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. It got
Straight up
detective-y.
detective vibes. Yeah. And I kind of like that. Loki is a smart guy, as he said, and as he's shown. I kind of like that. How let's deep dive into these cases and the mind of Loki, and who better to do it than Loki? But then on top of that, he's got to go through all these files and find the wall with the connections and whatnot.
Connect the dots.
I like that. Again, it's very different from anything we've had with Marvel. I want them to explore that more and keep that going. Not kind of the whole, it's a different case by case. The Variant Loki's over here this week. And of course, the episode set it up to where it probably won't be like that. But I would like to see that fleshed out more. Give us this detective Star Trek. Give me that vibe. I enjoy that. So, and then the whole apocalypse thing, I think is pretty clever as well. 0 times 0. Yeah, again, I'm enjoying Tom Hiddleston. I want to see this fleshed out. Yeah.
You mean like the
Detective Loki?
Okay, Detective Loki. Okay,
TVA, Detective
I'm
Loki.
on board with that. I mean, that's
TVA.
kind of what they gave us. They told us it kind of would be anyway, a little bit of a.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think they pretty much alluded to it being that kind of like crime, like investigative-ish mix.
I guess. Oh yeah, I guess bring in the perp, help him catch the other perp. Okay, I completely missed that the first episode.
I mean, it's fine. It's good that you agree with it because that's what they're going for. They said.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe it was the fantastical elements that.
I agree. I hope they play more on that because that gives another layer or dynamic to the cinematic universe and how they're doing these shows.
Yes.
So if they rely heavily on it, I'm not as mad. I actually would enjoy it if they rely heavily on keeping it that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's just 6 episodes, like we said earlier. So it's like we really got to get. Now it's time to really pick it up. Let's get wonky. Let's really push it now. Like
Right. And at the same time, you know, we want them to pick up the pace, but also don't rush it. Just because we saw what happened with Falcon and Winter Soldier. Great setup, great character dynamics, the great build up leading up to the final episode, and then bam, we're like, I wish we had one more. So we'll see how we're gonna do with Detective Loki.
I'll tell you the difference though. I think the difference with this show is that there's such a, you know, large fan base of Loki in general that I feel like with Captain Falcon and Winter Soldier, like you really had to convince people to like jump on to these characters. At least Captain Falcon for me, because
For sure.
I mean he was a joke up until he was a joke. No, I take that back. He wasn't a joke, but they did him dirty for a good amount of time. And so they took the time to kind of flesh that out and make you respect them. I mean, same thing with Wanda, you want to say, like, people enjoy like the comic character and everything like that, but people just like Loki for being Loki in the cinematic universe. So like, you don't even have to convince people to really like Loki. There's already a big fan base that just likes Tom Hiddleston and Loki as Loki anyway. Yeah. So that charisma on screen is just gonna pull you in. That's the advantage they have with that, is that I would love for storytelling that they flesh it out more, but also you don't have to convince people to really look deeper into this. At least that's what I think, because it's not like a Falcon, it's not like a Wanda or anything like that. It's the fan base is bigger than those fan bases were, I think, when the shows were coming out.
I agree. Definitely Loki. There were definitely more Loki fans. Yeah, if anything, Winter Soldier and Falcon had the biggest hill decline.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yeah, because at least Wanda, everybody knew she was probably the most powerful being, like Avenger. So they said, let's see what's going on here with the most powerful. Again, she near crippled Thanos in Endgame. Yeah, like he said, "Fuck my army, blow this bitch up." But yeah, no. Loki has a well-established fan base. Tom Hiddleston has the charisma, and so put him in this type of, you know, show, and I think people will flock, no problem.
You know what's interesting? I didn't even know this until this past week, because Loki was on everyone's thoughts, right? I didn't know that Tom Hiddleston initially auditioned for Thor.
Oh no, you didn't know that?
I did not know that. But they showed test screenings though of him. I'm like, oh my god, this could have been Thor. And I guess it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I bet you probably wouldn't really say this if he was the actual Thor, but since we already have Chris Hemsworth, I can't imagine Loki's face on like a Thor character. It just, I don't know, it doesn't mix.
No, that's what I think about with Iron Man 2, because Sam Rockwell, who played Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2, auditioned to be Iron Man.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he actually did so good in his Iron Man audition that they didn't want to not use him at all. So when Iron Man 2 came, they made him the villain. But I couldn't imagine him being Iron Man.
No, they made the better casting choices.
They should have casted Ben Stiller. You're right.
Oh gosh, no, enough.
Anyway, so yeah, we basically got Detective Loki putting on his detective cap and piecing together that the Variant Loki that they're chasing is basically hiding in the apocalypse. Which apocalypse he's hiding in, we don't know. So in order to test that theory, we have Mobius and Loki go out to the Pompeii disaster, right?
Can I do a quick sidebar?
Go.
This is how we know it's a detective type thing going on. Obviously, he has the files and he's like, Eureka, I got it, or whatever. Yes. But also when he's getting up to go do the stuff, like he snatches his coat. Like it's the little things.
Yeah.
Like, he snatches his coat. You don't even need to have that coat on if you don't want to. Like,
you don't.
Mobius doesn't care about the coat at this point. Like, but he snatches the coat. He's taking on, like, you know, he's taking on the role.
He looks slick. He looks slick in his outfit. I like it. It's a good, clean look. But yeah, so honestly, after the during the Pompeii incident, I wish they kind of did this scene a little bit better, just because it felt like, they wanted to test the variancy, what would happen right before the apocalypse. They're standing out in the open. They're not really even hiding, and no one's questioning these figures in suit and ties, walking around. I mean, they were right there. There was a
right there,
crowd
yeah.
walking by them. If they were like in an alleyway or in some abandoned house, fine, right? But it took Loki going out into the middle of the street, screaming at the top of his lungs to create a variancy. So I'm kind of like,
not.
okay.
No, it didn't. It still did.
Oh, no, you're right. I guess his attempt at creating one, but it did not create one because his theory was right. It didn't create a variancy. So that proved his theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just like, nobody's really questioning it. Everybody's like, oh, whatever. I'm like, really?
yeah,
Look at what he's wearing.
Look, you guys should be like, your mind should be
You've never
blown.
seen this fashion statement.
I think him speaking their language helped with that. As far as but yeah, you're right. It was like weird that you would think it's some kind of sorcery. No, the way they're dressed.
I would think so. In that time period where I still think the rain is brought out by an omnipotent being, like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume these two are probably godlike figures, and but we find out, yes, the Loki's theory was right. And I do like how he kind of alluded, or not alluded, I like how he convinced Mobius to go out with him into the field, where Mobius, he was reluctant because he's like, dude, I'm not gonna do this because I still don't trust you. You're gonna stab me in the back.
You're wasting my time. Yeah.
You're wasting my time. And Loki convinces him, saying like, okay, yeah, you're right. I could essentially do that, but what I do like more is being right. And that fits his character. Loki loves being the one on top, being the correct guy all the time with all the snarkiness. And I felt like just that alone was enough to convince myself, okay, yeah, he's still himself. He wants to be right in this one scene. He could still stab Mobius in the back at any time, but I feel like he was so into his role that he even convinced himself, like, hey, you know what? I'm actually having fun with this TVA stuff. I want to be right. Let's go test this out. And I won't stab you in the back. I won't kill you. I just want to be right.
Remember, he doesn't enjoy hurting people.
He does not. He does not. We
So
did establish that.
He's here for the self-gratification. He's like, oh, I'm right. You were wrong. You didn't listen to me.
Exactly.
Kind of ties back into, he always said he would be a better king than Thor. Just no one really gave him the shot.
No one did. He had that ice giant blood in him.
He had to take it upon himself to be a king to Midgard in space to prove that he could be a better king. But again, it's kind of, he's just trying to prove that he would be right in the grand scheme of it all. So it really does play to his character for sure.
And I think from here, this is kind of where the story lost me. Maybe you guys can fill me in. So from here, the theory's right. So they do know that this is possibly where the variant Loki is hiding, and like right before these apocalypses happen. But what I didn't catch was how he homed in on the kablooey gum 2050. Maybe you guys can help me out with that. Like, what made them narrow it down to that?
Detective Rose, did you catch how they did that?
They did it based off, and you can correct me if I'm off, but I believe based on what I was seeing is the time period that it was a part of.
Yeah.
And so Mobius recognized or researched and recognized that there was only a window of time that this was actually made in like a thing, kablooey. And so using that, referencing that window with all of the major apocalypses that happen in between that, then they could narrow down, which, where to look at.
What would be the most ideal location for him to pick up these kablooies? And they had a rocks cart. Yeah.
The kablooey's still a, weird thing, but a nice little nod, I guess, to the beginning of bringing it back.
Where they find the kablooey?
They found it at the church, no? Yeah, they found it at the church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The church is where they found the kablooey.
Yeah.
And then the spot that they went to, what year was it? I don't know. It
The
was,
Renaissance Fair?
2050.
No. It was way past.
Oh yeah,
this
it
year.
was like 2050. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we led to assume that Variant Loki dropped a piece of kablooey gum on during that?
Yep.
But I mean, with that said,
Yes.
it's a Loki.
It's a Loki. Maybe he did it on purpose, right?
Exactly.
Like to lure them to that. Okay.
Now, with that
fine.
said, I'm this quote's a little early, but remember, it's not about you. Or
So we're going there, huh? We're going there.
we can.
All
This
right.
isn't about you.
Lead us then.
All
What
right.
do you mean?
So they go to the rocks cart, which also has some ties to a bigger Marvel stuff. And yeah, Variant Loki is here, and Variant Loki is doing the whole let me possess this person, talk through them, and kind of divulge some of my big plan, but not really divulge anything. Still completely lost. And again, this is a conversation with our Loki, and Loki. And again, I think this is just Loki just trying to get more information, but I want to overthrow the Timekeepers and whatnot. That's the bait for this Loki to be like, let me join you. Doesn't work, because this Loki goes, this isn't about you, and reveals that it is a female version of Loki.
Ooh.
Which is,
or so you think.
I'm pretty sure it's a female Loki. You don't think so?
I think that yes, still can be female Loki, but that's not female Loki.
What? Explain yourself, the craftiest of roses.
Listen, I have a theory that's just, we know that Loki can, go into other people and possess them.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my mind, okay, why would Loki reveal herself or themselves at that moment this early? Why? Because it's not actually, so I'm thinking that it's not actually the female Loki. It's just a possession of a body that Loki is using, as to keep that layer of identity. It's out there, but I think so.
okay.
One of the things is, I don't know if you saw the end credits too, is that
Wait, was there an
What is
end
the
credit
name?
scene? Or
not
you
an end
talking
credit
about the
scene, but
little
it
images?
was in credits where what's her name? Sylvia, I believe, is the actor's name of female
no,
Loki.
Sophia.
Sophia, my bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Was not titled as female Loki or Loki.
What did it say?
It was titled as Sylvia, I believe.
Oh, did it really say that?
Yeah. In the end credits. Let me check to make sure.
Her
Hold on.
name is Sylvia.
No, the actress name is Sophie, and then
Sophie.
It says Sylvia. I see it now in one of these headlines.
Oh wow. So is Sylvia a character?
I don't know anything
don't
about
know.
a Sylvia.
exactly.
Okay.
Misdirection again.
It could be. I don't know if you guys noticed with that character. I think she was missing a horn.
Yes.
She was. Okay.
Oh gosh, I did not see that.
Well,
Now how do you
because
feel?
right. The only reason why I knew was because I didn't when I saw her, my first reaction wasn't oh wow, that's female Loki. I was kind of like, who? Who, am I supposed to know who this is? And then when they looked at her again, then I'm like, oh wait, it's supposed to be Loki, right? Because the horns. And then I saw the one little horn, and then on the other side there was no horn at all. So I don't know if that's alluding to something, or
There are variations of Loki and female Loki. I mean, they already alluded to the gender fluidness of Loki, right?
Yeah,
Early
that's
on.
why he came out and said that in the interview. Yeah.
And he and so to me, I was kind of, when the reveal dropped, I like, my jaw didn't drop and say, oh, is that female Loki? I was like, is this female Loki? I don't know. Because there's variations of what female Loki could be. I know comic book lore, female Loki has dark hair, so it ain't even in casting could be different. That's not a big deal at all. But also like I think in some of the comic book lore, I don't know, but so much. But there's also a story where female Loki is in Lady Sif's body. And after people of Asgard have fallen, that they been reincarnated into different bodies, right? And that Loki tricks his way into taking Lady Sif's body and puts Sif in an elderly person's body, so they can't use their powers as much. Some kind of wacky line like that, comic book type of setup like that. But yeah, so what went through my mind at first was like, is this actually female Loki? I was like, okay, this is female Loki. And then once I saw the little credit thing, that made me say, okay, this could not be female Loki at all. Could just be a possession of Loki.
Dang,
I almost wish they didn't even put that little egg in there.
They should not have put that there because
could be misdirection though.
It could be, but I'm reading up on it now on who Sylvie could be. And I just found some more information, and gosh darn it, the man Darce might be onto something.
What was he
interesting?
onto?
Remember, I'm pretty sure he mentioned the Enchantress.
He did.
Oh,
he said possibly.
The second Enchantress, her alter ego is Sylvie Lushton.
Ooh,
we're connecting the dots.
It? Damn.
But no, see, that's Marvel's too calculated to just put the name in there.
But I mean, like, how many of us really like wait until the credits to see, you know, what role is being played by which mysterious actor?
I didn't think to look at the credits, but
right.
Nor was I expecting them to just name drop the name that hasn't been used yet. Like, they didn't mention Sylvie within the episode.
They did not. No, you're
I just didn't hit next. I was too lazy to get up, and so I was just sitting there for a second. And I said, "Oh snap!" And then I actually Googled it after that, and I was like, "Oh snap!" Like,
I mean, I just looked up Lady Loki because that's what I thought it was, but now you just got me looking up Sylvie. But I mean, Marvel is not.
That would be a misdirection in itself. Well, which goes back to what Dr. Jace was saying about Marvel doing their little fake outs with stuff. But I don't know.
But
I have no
clue. Marvel has switched up a lot of origins for some characters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like Ultron was supposed to be made by Hank Pym originally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he was functioning for years before he went rogue. You know, so they could just, you know, run with it's female Loki, Lady Loki. It could be Enchantress in disguise,
which would allude to some of the, you know, little information they were dropping, just as like maybe little eggs or little breadcrumbs of, okay, we get that scene where Loki's confronting the female Loki, as we think, but the possession of different bodies, and it's like, call me Randy, call me this, call me that, and then you know, it's not about you, because it's not you.
It's not. I think they even said, what was it, when she was still possessing all the different bodies, she was saying something along the, like, because Loki said, oh yeah, you're me, right? And then
she said
Loki,
better, she's like, actually it's more like you're me,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. So it's like that Spider-Man meme where, like, you know, they're all pointing at each other saying,
yes,
well, you, me, the same. But yeah, we got, I guess, Enchantress, female Loki. What, I guess it kind of goes into the question then, you know, what's the deal with the mask? You know, the hooded shadow. Like, why hide your identity if people already know that you're some variation of Loki? Does the female role play into that? Like,
was she hiding the fact that she's female?
Right, because like,
like just making an actual Loki, like male Loki, or
right, because they
like, how did they know it was Loki if it was female? Would they recognize Loki as a female right off rip?
Good point.
That's my question, because even before this happened, they showed the TVA. They showed that they were chasing various, you know, various variants of Loki before, and they showed, you know, that brief hologram where they showed all the copies of Loki they chased before. They had like a hulking Loki, a soccer playing
They did, yeah.
Loki.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, okay, all these are male characters. So could it be that she was maybe hiding the fact that she was female to like throw them off? Because now they're already expecting, yeah, the Loki that we're finding is likely a male, you know, that the one that we always seen. But they throw them off by, I guess, shrouding the fact that she's female, but then she makes the reveal later. I don't know, man. I think I'm getting too. I think. I'm
But
getting
they
too
also,
into the deep dive.
I thought they also did already recognize that since Loki's gender fluid, since they already recognized that you know could shapeshift into anybody and anything. I know the possession was one thing, but also shapeshifting is something they kept bringing up. So when they went in, they had no clue who they were looking for at first. Remember, they were like, could be anybody.
All right, now that you mention that, I gotta go back and find that scene where he's talking about the difference
power
between shape shifting and
Yes.
the other one. I forgot what the other one was. It's like duplicating.
It's dupla in. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh my
I can't
gosh, the
think of
answer's
name.
right there. I'm gonna go back and look at it
Go back and let us know because
right now, or like our next podcast.
I mean, like if you have it in front of you.
Well,
I don't.
Because he was saying that one of them is like you actually make like a legit, I mean, a variant of yourself, I guess. Like he said, one is like a simple like manipulation or like a simple trick, you know, of projection. I'm paraphrasing, and the other is like actually like duplicating yourself, like making like a whole version of yourself, I think is what he was saying.
Yes, and he high key did that in Thor: The Dark World, if I'm not mistaken. Because remember, they did that whole thing where they tricked the dude Curse. I mean, it's probably been a while since y'all watched it.
I don't remember it. It's like
all right,
watching
so
I remember it,
again,
but
now
you
that
know,
you're telling
I
me.
try to put it in the back of my memory
So
bank.
let me
movie.
refresh.
But I know what you're talking about.
Let me refresh Dr. Jace here. They stabbed this big dude who killed the mother,
Okay.
right? But then the big dude like stabs Loki and he dies. Thor watches him die.
Yes.
It is
Oh, that-
revealed, remember, that he didn't die because
Right.
he went and replaced Odin.
Right. I remember that.
So that had to be a duplicate because that dude felt it stabbing him.
Yeah.
You know, if it was like the hologram type one, it would have just gone right through him.
Exactly. You're exactly
So
right.
That was a duplicate.
Making us dig back into the bad movies again.
Exactly. They're good for doing this. They're like, man, why hasn't Loki used this power again?
He could have used it with Thanos.
He very much could have used it with Thanos. They forgot he could do it.
They forgot. Damn those Russo brothers.
Yeah, they say he can pull knives from thin air, right?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing they remember. Yeah. But so I'm guessing maybe this female Loki is a duplicate. Yeah, it could be a duplicate. Yeah.
It could be. I mean, we're gonna find out next week. He
Hopefully.
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 Right. Our variant Loki went in chasing her through the portal that he went through. She went through. They went through. And I guess we'll see what's gonna happen. I'm hoping they still do that dynamic between him and Mobius because now that he's kind of gone off the deep end, I can't imagine a scenario where Loki comes back and him and Mobius are on trusting terms again and they continue that buddy cop mentality.
Oh, he's got
they
to
won't.
back. He's got to bring back a prize.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's got to be like, oh, I went with them because this was my opportunity to learn about what this Loki wants. And that's, increasing our chances of capturing them. Isn't this what you wanted us to do? So I couldn't let her get away. So, you know what? Yeah, I can see them doing that. I can see Loki being mischievous as always and weaseling his way back into the TVA to try and be on some level of good terms because I know Mobius might lighten up to him, but B-15, she's had enough of this guy's.
I don't know if Mobius is gonna lighten up. I think
so?
I think Loki's gonna be rogue at least for an episode. I think it's gonna be your classic, like the intentions were well, but the perception of it, because nobody knows what's going on. Mobius comes in and I can't think of the I can't think of you literally just said it.
B15.
B15.
B15, Mobius came in, B15, and like they don't know what's going on. They just see what just happened with all of the resets, and Loki going in after female Loki after Mobius is like, wait, like don't do it. So I think they might take that angle. They might not. I think they might take the angle where Mobius is like, well, dang, I really can't trust this guy. You know, I can't trust his intention. And then that's even more tense relationship between the two. So maybe even Loki comes back and he's like, I can't trust you. I can't trust you. And Ka-chow, I can't trust you. And but I don't know. It could flip it. Hey, listen. I'm not perfect with impersonation. So
no, I'm not saying you suck at the impersonation.
Ka-chow.
I just hate that you're doing it.
No, it's perfectly fine, Rose. I like the Ka-chow references. It ties us back into the story and the mythos of what's going on. You saying Ka-chow even reminds me of B15 being a Ka-chow herself. Why would you approach someone who you think is the Variant Loki? And I don't know.
B15 sucks far.
She sucks.
I don't know why she's in charge.
She shouldn't be. I don't know. I don't know.
That just seemed dumb. That just seemed really dumb. She's like, could this be you?
Oh, I think it can be. Yeah. I can be that person.
Shapeshift and
proceeds with no caution.
No caution. Let me approach slowly. That's the most caution I'll give it. And
so
then,
do you think,
boom.
listen, I got G5 classification. Do you think that like subconsciously they were trying to play on like, oh, you know, it's my brother right here.
No, B15.
It's my brother right here. Let me
B15 for, I guess, you know, they're the TVA. B15 ain't black. B15.
Let me tell you something. That's what happened in that scene. I'm calling.
There's no race.
Hey,
There's
my brother.
I
know there's no race in the TVA, but hey, listen. Hey, that's my brother right there.
This fool Casey didn't know what a fish is. There's no rules. I mean, there's no
You're
race.
right. I'm poking fun.
Which by the way, it should also raise the question, everyone in the TVA is human.
Mm-hmm.
Why
are they? Oh, as far as
they look visually, they look human. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Like there's no, I mean, the first one I thought of mind is like, why aren't there no Gamoras?
Or
right?
scrolls, yeah.
Or scrolls. Like, why is the main race? Are humans the center of the universe? Are we the ultimate species in terms of intelligence, or I don't know, whatever?
That's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see more diverse TVA agents along the line.
I'm hoping so.
Maybe if we've only seen humans, and maybe Loki will be like, I didn't know y'all came in other species or whatever.
Is that your impersonation?
And I'm not. I don't have his. He's got a certain British.
I heard
accent.
a hint. I heard.
I know. I heard it in the beginning, then I lost it. But then Mobius could be like, why would you assume we're only based on humans? Ka-chow.
Okay, there we go. You got the hang of it. Good.
But yeah, who knows? I doubt
they're infatuated with humans. Maybe they could shapeshift into them. I don't know.
Possibly.
They're infatuated with human things
Possibly,
because
they're definitely watching a lot more humans than anybody else.
Jet skiing,
jet skis,
like that.
Yeah.
Which is funny to say because he has some obsession with jet skis, and it kind of goes back into like that whole TVA animation focusing on like the 1930s, 40s, 50s, with the missed minutes.
Yeah.
Why are the 1900s, out of the endless span of time, the main one where these guys find the most? You're telling me the jet ski was the ultimate form of like creativity and creation when you have all of time?
Yeah.
The jet ski. It's the jet ski. No hoverboards. No.
He likes the jet ski, man.
He's a simple man. Ka-chow.
Let him like the jet ski. It's fine.
Yeah, let him like the jet ski.
Give him the
soda. He could do without though. It could be dangerous.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, Casey was drinking milk, which I guess is a little bit better.
Was that milk? It looked like water when he was pouring it out.
It came out like water. Who knows
what
it was?
Oh, I thought it was milk. Oh, it was like in a carton.
It was white. Yeah.
But it came out like water.
Oh.
I don't know what he was. Probably like some TVA nutrient supplement.
And
what
also,
an awkward scene. That was an awkward scene for me.
It was.
I thought it was funny.
I feel like they were doing the whole analogy with the salad a little too long. Like,
They overdid it just a little bit.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I know, I get it. He's mischievous, but like, come on now.
He's being
He ain't
silly.
got to season the salad that much. Now he's just being plain rude.
Well, I mean, he
Not a trick
watered it
anymore.
at the end, so
No, don't put salt and pepper in my salad.
He's no, not the fire. There's no fire.
I was funny.
Oh my god!
I
It's
chuckled.
Funny. It's funny when we
It's
talk
cheesy.
about it.
It's cheesy.
It's cheesy, but it's Loki trying to be on their level.
Oh, well,
He's toning down his mischievous level. He's trying to,
Fine.
by pouring water in salad.
out of all the mischievous things he's done in the past, this is probably so minuscule. The fact that he's ruining this man's lunch, in the grand scheme of, he's trying to make strides. Give him some leeway.
Fine. Fuck chow. Fine. Okay. So what else did we get in this episode? Because I felt like we covered the big talking points. We have Miss Minutes, and it kind of goes back into what I said last episode. I was hoping we get more of her, not just that little introduction video that kind of like informs everyone that's coming in, how the TVA works. We now kind of got like a hologram recording, but it's not really a recording. It's kind of alive.
She's there.
She's there. Yeah. Like you could talk to her. So I'm kind of glad they have that, because now we get to hear more of Tara Strong. And I love Tara Strong. Tara Strong's awesome. So more Miss Minutes. I'm all for it.
Miss Minutes is evil.
You think she's evil? You think she's one of the Timekeepers?
Oh, could be.
I'm just taking a gander. Possible, yeah. I
It
don't think
could
evil's the right word to use, but
happen. She has a
Misdirection.
bigger role. She has a bigger
misdirection.
role.
Yeah.
Misdirection. She's not just a informative thing. She serves a larger purpose.
Yes.
I do agree. So I guess outside of the small things, what happens at the very end? Because they start freaking out at the TVA, right? Because the sacred timeline.
Which I'm confused a little bit about. So
Crazy.
it's a bomb.
It's multiple reset bombs coming
What?
into the
Right.
sacred timeline. So Loki, or female Loki, we'll say Loki, we won't even say male or female, gender fluid. Loki, Variant Loki, has been stealing all these reset things. We've seen that. And now it's the big plan to get the TVA to come all the way to this area in time that they figured out, only to distract them and drop all of the reset bombs back into. Yeah, I wonder how that happened. How did they pull? How was that pulled off? How did they open all those windows?
Come on, let me get this straight. Those bombs were at different points in time, right? They all were, or were they
No,
all
they
just
were
in that
all in the-
supermarket?
They were all in that market.
Right. That was what I thought.
But does it matter? Because it's an apocalypse event.
But I think the female Loki was basically setting off so many at once in that place that it kind of circumvented that whole apocalypse thing. Because remember, before, there's no variants right before an apocalypse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I feel like she did enough damage in that one apocalypse that the variance is there now. It's surviving past the apocalypse.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, they hit the big one. It's supposed to, or I guess it's supposed to hit. Yeah, it's supposed to hit the sacred timeline and shake all of it up.
Right.
Is
Yeah,
that
because
enough?
they're all heading towards that red line.
So I got two things. I got one thing. Should that be enough to knock the sacred timeline out like that?
I don't think so. I mean,
I think
again, I'm
it's
so
enough
confused.
I think it's enough to like get the TVA worried and get their asses in line and try to fix it. But I don't think it's enough to really. That's the thing. We don't know what she's really trying to do. Endgame.
Yeah.
We don't know if she's trying to destroy the sacred timeline. From what we know so far, she has no interest in taking control of the TVA or getting an audience with the Timekeepers. So I don't feel like she's trying to destroy it. I feel like she's trying to
Change history, maybe? Change time?
change history, or maybe this is a necessary step to what her next plan is of what.
But real
she
quick,
actually
real
wants
quick.
to do.
So there's like 4 bombs, right?
No, there was more than 4.
There was more.
It's a
So
collection of all the times that had been stealing.
So
or
does
taking.
that makes what it's the amount of variant timelines that created is equal to the number of bombs, right?
No, I don't think you should look at it like that because you can
so
make
just
multiple.
all those
timelines.
bombs just created a large variance.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was like that because they all detonated at once, and yeah, I would say just because they all detonated at once, and there are a bunch of them. It's more than one.
They didn't detonate in that timeline though. They dropped somewhere and detonated. So I'm like, where the heck did it get? I guess we'll find out more.
Oh, it didn't drop in
episode.
it didn't drop in the
No,
supermarket.
it didn't drop in the supermarket. There were portals opened up for each one.
Right.
That they dropped through.
I'll go back and rewatch that scene.
Yeah, this is an episode you have to go back and rewatch because they really want you to understand how time works.
I'm trying.
and they're trying too. They're trying to tell you, listen, man, we're gonna say it again, and you better pay attention this time because
we're gonna say it again.
So that happens, and TVA's freaking out, and then Ravonna, which might be a misdirection as well. Like it's that scene of her getting up and getting the baton or whatever.
Oh, she's going into action. Yeah,
going into action.
That wasn't like the special baton or something. Or
it's probably a very special baton, I imagine.
Yes.
Okay. Because I didn't know if it was something special or if it was just an indication, like, oh, she's getting geared up. Like,
and remember, she's
there's
very
more than
reluctant.
4
She's
bombs.
very reluctant to have Loki's help too, as well.
Right.
Oh, now I see. They are opening up in different time doors opened up. Okay, I'm an idiot. I don't know how I missed that.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Wait, so they're not all in the store?
They were all in the store and they just dropped over random parts of time. So they're gonna have to go
when they detonated or right before they detonated?
Right before. The female Loki sent them to various points in time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to go fix that time. So I guess this is kind of your plot. You're chasing female Loki. Here's the female Loki's plan. You don't know what the female Loki's plan is, but you know part of it is setting off these resets simultaneously through various points in time.
Okay, I see.
Right.
And now they have to separate their team and get all of these ASAP.
At the same time as chasing down female
which leaves the TVA kind of exposed, scattered, and the internal TVA exposed, which might leave room for some shenanigans to happen in the organization itself while people are gone.
Ravonna left, so yeah, they are exposed. She can, I don't know. Anybody, I guess, maybe if they have a way. Well, female Loki has that thing opening up these time doors too.
Yes.
I think it's safe to assume female Loki could go to the TVA if she wanted.
Yes.
So and get all those Infinity Stones.
Is that what she's gonna do once she picks one up?
I'm telling you that drawer's gonna come back. I'm telling you.
All right.
Okay.
Stand by it.
That's the hill you're gonna be on. All right.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it. I would say that's basically it, right? I pretty much covered everything. B15 is dumb. We've established that.
Just made some bad decisions. Yeah, just
I don't
she need to step her game up.
She needs to. It kind of pulled me out of the moment. I'm like, oh, so this is how we progress the plot. She has to act like this to so that yeah. So B15 will be B15. And Sacred Timeline's messed up. We got Variant Loki chasing female Loki. Next episode, we're gonna start off, I would imagine, with Loki, because the show's called after him. They're not gonna waste any time. They're gonna show him speaking with female Loki or Enchantress, whoever she may be, and we might get some, established answers of who she is. What is she trying to do? Does that mesh up with Variant Loki's plan as well? Because as we said earlier, I don't think Variant Loki's really trying to take over the TVA and, the generic Saturday morning villain type of goal. Feel like he has more in play. You guys have any other thoughts? Did we miss anything else?
I mentioned Roxxon, but I looked up Roxxon. It's not enough to, I think, theorize.
I'll throw it out there though for fun.
It's just, Roxxon, and I know us three have played Miles Morales. Roxxon's just a energy company who has a presence throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I didn't even know because I didn't watch Agent Carter, but this is not their first stint in the MCU.
Ooh. Actually, let me pause you real quick. Did you guys hear the theory about a shadowy figure, a blurry figure in episode 1 towards the back?
Oh, Agent Carter in the
Yes,
background. Yeah, I
Peggy
heard
Carter.
about that. That could be cool.
That
if it's
could
her.
be cool. Yeah.
I mean, it looked like her. It really did.
It did. I mean, you have to go out of your way to make it look like her too, because she has a very distinct hairstyle.
And the dress
attire.
too.
Exactly. And some people were saying, it might be something involved with Steve when he went back in time to live out his life. It might be.
All right.
No. That's part of the sacred timeline.
That's part of the thing. No, it's true. But there's variants though.
True.
It could be a version of her that said, Steve, no, ew. And I don't know. Maybe that's the variant.
Oh gosh.
But,
yeah.
You never know. But I'm sorry to cut you off. I just.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
You mentioned her. I'm like, oh yeah.
No. I think that's worth more mentioning than Roxanne, because Roxanne really hasn't done much. I think they're also mentioned.
Roxanne?
Not. Yeah, I don't know.
No,
But
I'm not.
they're also mentioned in I don't know if y'all ever watched more of the Marvel shows, such as the smaller shows like Cloak and Dagger, which was on Freeform.
I never saw it. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, it's they're part of the MCU. Roxanne was in there too.
Oh, like they're officially like part of the MCU, like they're.
Yeah, Roxanne.
okay.
Yeah.
When I wait, are you saying Cloak and Dagger, the show, is like part of the MCU?
Yes. Cloak and Dagger and that other
Okay.
show that was on Hulu with the kids.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
And their parents are like evil and they all have powers.
Here's my thing though. When you say they're part of the MCU, are you saying like along the lines of like the way the Netflix series were part of the MCU, where they would say one thing every
low
season?
key.
I'm not asking about Loki. I'm
saying low key. Low key, I think they get a little more tie-in than the Netflix series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter got way more tie-in than any other show.
Right.
Other than the Disney Plus shows.
Right. So this one's less than those two shows, but more than the Netflix shows, is what you're saying.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
But again, I don't see Roxanne being anything more than a energy company trying to make their way in the world, and they cross paths with some villains and maybe do some villainous stuff. So
I mean, the most I could probably see is like, because you said Roxxon's an energy company. It could also be that their empire grew by that time, because it's the year 2050.
Mhm.
They expanded their business to other, different, forms of revenue. So like they're an energy company, but now they're like, hey, let's enter the supermarket side of things. We'll have the energy sign and we'll have the Rox card. You shop at Roxcon for your energy. Wait till you see our deals on chicken wings, because down in aisle 7. So who knows, man? I don't know.
Sure.
I don't see it. I don't see it
knows?
either.
Yeah.
I don't see it either. But yeah, I would think.
No, yeah, I think that covers it. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got it.
Fair enough. Rose the Crafter, you got any final thoughts on episode 2 of Loki?
Waiting for it to pick up some more. They got
Yes.
some neat, interesting ideas going on. A lot of wonkiness, a lot of misdirection, a lot of mischief, and so it's a good episode. Wasn't great, wasn't amazing. Kind of to the same beat of what one was for me. Maybe slightly a little more better because they explained the rules and got a little more engaging near the end. But hey, let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Episode 3, hopefully it picks up the pace, and I do agree. Episode 2 felt like an expansion of episode 1 a little bit, kind of still relying on that dynamic between Mobius and Loki. So we'll see. But yeah, I would say that covers everything for episode 2 of Loki. We would like to hear all of your thoughts as well down in the comments below. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, give a like wherever you hear this from, whether it's Spotify, YouTube, at YonkoTable on Twitter and Facebook and
Instagram.
I remember. Oh man. Okay. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe, let us know your thoughts. And I would say that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Yonkō Table. I'm your Yonko host, DrJaceAttorney, fellow Yonko GrandMasterHoop, and fellow Supernova Rose, the craftiest of crafters.
Remember, don't waste your time with this or the TVA will come for you. The sacred timeline wants you to provide your thoughts and subscribe.